What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. Hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you are enjoying another Saturday full of college football action. Maybe you're a Brighton fan, and today was just an incredible day for you as far as the Premier League is concerned. But if you are a Dallas Cowboys fan like me, it is yet another tough day here in the calendar year of 2024. We're live in the Bleacher Report app, the very best app in the world of sports. I use it to keep track of all my favorite teams, all my favorite sports. I happened to know to tune in to the Manchester City loss because of it. So if you haven't downloaded the BR app today, what are you doing? You can watch me live after most Dallas Cowboys games in a post-game show that we throw up later after the fact at Blogging the Boys. You can follow me in the BR app down below right here. You can also follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at RJ Ochoa. On TikTok, rj.ochoa. Emails rj.ochoa@sbnation.com if that is more your thing. But we are here today on Saturday, November the 9th. I'll be back actually after the Cowboys-Eagles game one day later on the 10th to do a post-game show as mentioned. But we're here because of some breaking news. Now, this is an interesting utilization of the term breaking news because this is kind of obvious and something that we kind of expected. But nevertheless, this is the news. You're looking at a tweet from Adam Schefter. I'm just going to read it for you. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott is planning to undergo season-ending surgery. Worst possible thing you can hear, obviously, on his partially torn hamstring, pending the opinion of one final specialist, sources told ESPN. It's an interesting report in that sense. The note from Schefter: Prescott is flying to New York to meet with the specialist, but Cowboys doctors already believe he needs the surgery that would sideline him 4 months. We finally got a time frame here as far as the potential recovery here. 4 months from now obviously puts us into March, around free agency time. Not that that matters because this is the Dallas Cowboys, and why would they even care about free agency? But there's a lot to unpack here, besides the fact that Adam Schefter is referring to a mysterious person just continually as the specialist. It sounds like a evil character in a sitcom or something, but that's neither here nor there. In case you are somehow unaware of how we got to this point with Dak Prescott, maybe you just watching the game last week, saw him leave and have no idea what happened. From a timeline perspective, a real quick 101, Dak Prescott leaves the game as the fourth quarter begins against the Atlanta Falcons last week. The Fox broadcast, initially suspects that it has something to do with his hand. It was later revealed that he did have a hand injury, but it wasn't a big deal. But it was revealed that he had a hamstring issue. Now, as the week unfolded, it was revealed that it was a multi-week hamstring injury. There were people on a national level who offered takes about Dak Prescott being a quitter and this not necessarily being a real thing. It was revealed on Wednesday by NFL Network Shane Slater that Dak Prescott's hamstring was in fact partially torn, as we just read a moment ago. And ever since then, this season has felt even more over than it was from the very beginning, the jump of it all after the Cowboys got dismantled by the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs. M. Garrett 13 in the chat I see you says Dak listening to the Eagles song "Take It Easy." Yeah, I think they're at the Sphere right now, so he's flying to New York. You know what I mean? Wrong side of the country, but I get you. H. Vargas 1 says, I'm trying to understand, how do you pay this guy with no O-line or running back? Shador's season. M. Del Valle 1 says Dakaru. So this felt inevitable for a while, but honestly, the Cowboys are even dumber than you think, which is just unbelievable to really consider, because today is an important day, Saturday, in the NFL season, in the NFL calendar, because it's the day that we see practice squad elevations, right? Your Dalvin Cooks of the world. And the Cowboys did not place Dak Prescott on injured reserve on Saturday, which was kind of stupid because all week long, this has been noted as a multi-week thing, something that was going to take longer than 4 weeks to heal. And if you're unaware, if you're unfamiliar with the NFL's IR rules, if you're placed on injured reserve, you have to, at minimum, miss 4 games. And we always kind of knew that Dak Prescott was going to miss 4 games this whole week at least. So not placing him on injured reserve was just delaying the inevitable for no reason whatsoever. However, this is a team who literally did that relative to the quarterback in question's contract as well as his star wide receiver. So it's kind of par for the course. Antisocial Sports says our GM is the worst. I agree with you. That's exactly, representative of that whole idea. Sana says Jerry Jones needs to clean house, including himself. Zen Hulk Fitness, what's up? Says, I don't think any Cowboys fans even care. I think we do, but I think that we are just kind of broken beyond having the ability to care. Like, I think we care, but we're just like, yeah, that stinks. It was kind of like, like the 12th season of the final episode, or 12th episode of the final season of How I Met Your Mother is like, yeah, we know this sucks at this point in time. We're just here for the end. We're just here to find out, how the mom and Ted ultimately get together. Houston Cowboy says Dallas set Dak up to be a scapegoat. I actually think if there's a scapegoat here, it's Mike McCarthy, but I agree with you that they set Dak Prescott up poorly. OPM21 says this would have been perfect if Dallas never extended Dak. I disagree with you, although I do see that somebody gave you the fire up emoji. Roger Farabi says, don't care. I think you do, Roger. That's why you're here, after all. Now, it's important to kind of contextualize a lot of things. And one that I'm going to offer is that the Cowboys are getting way too messy about this and way too emotional. Here's a tweet from Calvin Watkins, does an amazing job covering the Cowboys for the Dallas Morning News. His tweet reads, Dak Prescott is scheduled to go to New York next week to get a doctor's opinion on his hamstring. Team will discuss with Prescott the findings of that visit and go from there, according to a person with knowledge of the health of the quarterback. Okay, that's great, but I'm going to put the Schefter tweet back up here for you because I want to read something to you in case you missed it in your initial assessment of it. Adam says all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. But this part is what I care about. Prescott is flying to New York to meet with the specialist, but Cowboys doctors, I'm going to highlight that part for you. Cowboys doctors already believe he needs the surgery that would sideline him 4 months. Okay, let's assess this situation. The team because there's a number of conflicting variables and conflicting ideologies happening here that are representative of the magnitude of mess that the Dallas Cowboys have going on, which is indeed par for the course. I see you Zen Hulk Fitnesses makes for a good draft party top 10 pick. The last time the Cowboys were quote unquote this bad, by the way, was in 2020. Obviously they finished that season 6-10. That was the final year before the NFL expanded to 17 regular season games. They did finish that season with the 10th overall pick, so they were just inside the top 10 in a literal sense, but they did trade back, if you recall, and landed my fellow BR content creator, Micah Parsons, El Presidente. But that being said, back to the point, back what I'm pissed off about. So we know that this injury exists, right? That this injury is intense. The magnitude of it has been well documented and well reported. We know that Cowboys doctors, according to Adam Schefter, believe that Dak Prescott needs the season-ending surgery. The doctors who the team employs believe this, okay? But the Cowboys are, look, I understand getting second opinions and third opinions and things like that. Like, we've all been there in situations like that. Like, you can't just take the first opinion. I get that. I'm with you, whatever. But you kind of, Cowboys, at a certain point have to grow up and be an NFL team because, look, I love Dak Prescott. I'll argue with all you people in the chat who think he sucks or shouldn't have been paid or whatever. I can disprove each and every single one of your ridiculous all caps claims. But that being said, this team, Dallas Cowboys, you got to stand up and be some adults in the room because you can't let the quarterback, kind of impact your decision-making like this because you're now burning up a roster spot in a weird way by keeping him on the roster, not on injured reserve. You haven't brought in another quarterback. What are you going to do? I mean, this whole thing is so, messy because you can't pick a lane to operate in an objective sense. And you know who's kind of in charge of doing something like that relative to an NFL team? The general manager. That's the guy who ultimately winds up making these decisions, these cold, hard decisions, and tells the franchise quarterback, says, dude, I know that you want to go to New York and get your specialist opinion. Why didn't you go this past week? I don't know. Maybe there is a good reason for that. But you know what, man? Our team doctors are the ones who are saying you're going to need this season-ending surgery. You can go get this specialist opinion if you want, but we're going to place you on injured reserve because we're going to trust the medical opinions of the team doctors who we employ, and we're going to be the ones who make that decision, not you. Let's see here. I see a lot of chat about different things on the Cowboys. Goodness gracious, you guys are all over the place. Kevin Ginyard, I think that might be the pronunciation here, says, unfortunately, it's tanking time. Look, it's been tanking time. Look, the Cowboys are really bad and arguably a team who should have tanked before this Dak Prescott situation unfolded. The fact that they're here now, obviously, is a tanking situation all the more. Mr. Mojo 56 says, would you really trust the front office to bring in a decent quarterback? No. But, I mean, at the end of the day, if we're in charge here, all of us here in the chat, right, and we're the ones who have to make this decision, you have to be able to objectively, to in a cold way, it sounds like, say, Dak, you're hurt, man. I'm sorry, that sucks. We're bummed. The season is probably lost. We're going to place you on injured reserve because we have to keep moving. We have to keep making decisions. We have to play a game on Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles. And I know that we all think that they're screwed and they're not going to be able to do anything serious, across the rest of the season. They might not even win 6 games like they did in 2020. But dangling in the wind, floating in the wind because of this is ridiculous. I mean, again, consider that the Cowboys have not placed Dak Prescott on injured reserve at this point in time. They're delaying what is an inevitable thing because they're ultimately going to wind up placing him on injured reserve. They're technically only costing him or only costing themselves in the process. Again, identically to how they delayed extending Dak, delayed extending CeeDee Lamb. They only delayed the inevitable and wound up paying much more money in the process. So this is a ridiculous. I see you, Dom Ibarra 432 says, I'll be there tomorrow at the game, Sal. I hope you have a great time. This is again, just a really, this all sucks, right? Like, we can all admit and we can all accept. And if you jumped in late, Dak Prescott is very likely going to need season-ending surgery for the Cowboys. Was reported on Saturday afternoon. He is apparently in the process of obtaining the opinion of one specialist. The specialist is how this third-party character has been described to us, the audience. So we'll see what that ultimately, obviously, kind of yields. But that being said, if we come back to ground zero, Cowboys team doctors. All right, that's the report. I'm going to put this up on your screen again so you can see it, because I'm not making this up the way the Cowboys seem to be as we go along here. And I've highlighted it for you here. This is the report about this news that we're discussing here today from Adam Schefter. Prescott is flying to New York to meet with the specialist, but Cowboys doctors already believe he needs the surgery that would sideline him 4 months. If you are the Cowboys and your doctors have told you this, why are you waiting to place him on injured reserve? Why are you doing anything other than following the domino effect that would be involved here? Why? I can answer that question for you, because you're not a serious operation. You're not a serious franchise, because you aren't serious people, as Logan Roy told us in one of the more infamous moments of Succession. You are not serious people. This is a ridiculous thing to not listen to the people who you employ. Bettina Young says in the chat, really, why is he all of a sudden done for the year? Jerry's always trying to stay in the news. Excuse for knowing they weren't going to do anything with him. Again, it is simply just leaving everything to be chaos is what the Cowboys are doing here. And I can prove that to you, because Cowboys doctors, again, according to the report here that I've now shown you 3 different times, Cowboys doctors told the powers that be, hey, this guy, quarterback 1, Dak Prescott, is probably going to need season-ending surgery. There's nothing we can really do about this. He needs the season-ending surgery. He's going to go see Mr. Specialist, but that's the case. That is our official medical opinion that you pay us to provide to you. And you know what the Dallas Cowboys said about that? You know what their response to that was? This week of all weeks? Bet. We're going to send a 4th-round draft pick to the Carolina Panthers for Jonathan Mingo. We're back, baby. What? I mean, think about this for a second. Whether you're team Dak or team not, and there's a lot of you in the chat that feel different ways and are talking about Shadur and all these different kinds of things, whatever. If you are a Dak hater or a Dak lover, whatever, please strip that aside for a minute. I didn't mean to hit the microphone. That's my bad. I'm sorry if that provided a very weird sound, but strip that aside and let's come together in the name of common sense and have a conversation here for a moment, okay? You and I are running the Cowboys, all right? But we're doing it in a real way, not the actual way that the team does it, right? We're running the Cowboys, and our doctors came to us, the people we employ. We write checks to these people, and they're telling us, hey, man, Dak is done for the year. He's going to need this season-ending surgery. I don't know what Mr. Specialist is going to say, Mrs. Specialist, but this is our opinion. This is our official opinion. We'll see you later, all right? So now you and I look at each other, and we say, all right, we're going to get lunch in a little bit, but the doctors just told us that Dak is done for the year. That means this season is over. And even if this season weren't over, even if Dak Prescott weren't hurt, they're 3-5. Do you know that they have had 3 or fewer wins through the first 8 games of a season, which is the case right now? They're 3-5 through the first 8 games. They have had 3 or fewer wins through the first 8 games of a season 17 times in franchise history, and they have made the playoffs one of those 17 times. So again, even if Dak Prescott wasn't hurt, even if he was fully picture perfect healthy, the odds were enormously stacked against you as the Dallas Cowboys, as a football team, as a football operation. And that's besides the fact that to make the playoffs, you may have to win your division, and you have 2 different teams who are playing incredible football right now in the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles. But so you were already swimming heavily upstream, and then Dak Prescott gets hurt. So a logical team, a team who's capable of thinking objectively and who's capable of being, truthful and fair and honest with themselves and not emotionally reactive, would probably tell themselves, you know what? It's going to suck, right? We're just going to have to accept that this sucks, but we're going to punt on the year. We're going to trade away Zach Martin. We're going to set him free. Dob the Elf, here are your clothes. Go be free. Go hang out with Harry, Ron, Hermione, whatever you want to do, man. All right? Go be free, Zach Martin. We're going to sell off whatever we can. We're going to pile up and accrue as many assets as we can, because we know that we made big-time fools of ourselves over the course of this entire calendar year and for most of the last quarter century. But we're going to be adults now, and we're going to store up and stock up on all this draft capital, and we're going to move forward, and we're going to be a real NFL team. We're going to be a big boy. We're going to be an adult. But you know what they said? Nah, man, we're going to double down. We're going to send this 4th-round draft pick to the Carolina Panthers and get completely and totally fleeced and get Jonathan Mingo and watch the whole NFL world dunk on us in the process. And you can sit here and you can tell me and you can try to justify or cope or whatever you want about how Jonathan Mingo has 2.5 years remaining on his rookie contract, whatever the case may be. Half of that half and the 2.5 is this lost 2024 season. So that in and of itself means nothing to me. But I really don't care that he has 2 more years left of team control on his rookie contract, because you know who would have twice that literal time span amount? Anybody who you took with that pick that you sent to the Carolina Panthers. Again, we're just watching cope after cope, mistake after mistake, chasing tail after chasing tail. Charlie Brown lining up time after time after time after time saying, I tell you what, Lucy's not going to pull this ball. This one, she's always going to pull the ball, bro, except you're not Charlie Brown. We're Charlie Brown, and we're stuck in this never-ending misery carousel going round and round and round while you just pile up the dollars and our football team burns in the process. I see you, Chris Blake says, do you want Lane to rush? There is no reason, and I mean this as kindly as I possibly can, to Cooper Rush. He did an enormously good deed for the Dallas Cowboys 2 years ago by going 4-1 in the 5 games that he started, the 1 game the year before. Cooper Rush has been a good soldier. Build him a statue, hang his number, put him in the Ring of Honor. I don't care. Build a commemorative, star in the walk or whatever they have for him. Cooper Rush, you can have whatever you want. I do not need to see Cooper Rush in 2024. I don't need to see anything. I don't need to see a single bit of Cooper Rush here in 2024. And again, it has absolutely nothing to do with Cooper Rush. But you know why I feel the way that I do? Because at this point, we all agree everything's on fire, right? We understand that the whole situation here is on 10 different kinds of fire, right? So Cooper Rush is just a chair for me to sit in and watch the fire burn. I don't know what Trey Lance is. Trey Lance could be a squirt gun. Trey Lance could be an actual fire extinguisher. Trey Lance could be another chair. But we've learned all that we can about Cooper Rush at this point in time. And I recognize that Trey Lance is in a contract year and he's not under contract next year. And so there's nothing the Cowboys can really do about it. If he did wind up playing well, if he somehow, this isn't oh man, I really think Trey Lance can take the Cowboys to the playoffs thing. This team sucks, and Trey Lance will make them suck potentially 1% less because he is an athlete and can do some exciting things with the ball. And maybe our fantasy teams and the prop plays that we have will be somewhat viable with Trey Lance under center as opposed to Cooper Rush. That's really all this is about. And beyond all of that, even if you can't come to terms with everything that I just said, you already paid the 4th-round pick for him. You already Jonathan Mingo'd Trey Lance a year and a half ago, so you might as well see what you have to offer. Again, the fact that these stars, if you want to call them that, are all aligning, this of all weeks is just life and the football universe collectively dunking on the Dallas Cowboys like LeBron over Thiago Splitter. And that is a difficult thing for me to admit as a San Antonio Spurs fan. But that being the case, that the Cowboys would set another 4th-round pick on fire, to stick with our analogy here, while they literally cannot play Trey Lance because he's not good enough, and they paid a 4th-round draft pick for him, is peak hilarity. We're stuck here, man. This is the butterfly effect. We keep going back in time. We're Ashton Kutcher, and we can't save her. We're stuck, and we have nothing else to do. So we're going to do the alternate ending thing and go back to the womb. Or I never really understood exactly what that was. It was a very strange situation to watch unfold. Okay, let's get to your comments a little bit here. Keith Barnes says, how much of the defense do we lose, Diggs or Law? The defense, here's the other thing here, man. Like, people are, I haven't seen anybody seriously say this, but I have seen some, you see some of everything on the internet. Some people saying, look, Cooper Rush, he's 5-1 as a Cowboys starter. That's cool, man. That is literally true. But you know what? In those 5 games that Cooper Rush started 2 years ago, the Cowboys defense was averaging 15.8 points allowed against their opponents. This year, right now, this moment, the Cowboys defense is averaging 28.1 points allowed per opponents. We're talking about twice as much, man. Again, nothing against Cooper Rush. I hate to do anything or say anything that sounds like I'm besmirching him, because I'm eternally grateful for what he did for this franchise. But we're not going to see that Cooper Rush starting tomorrow against the Philadelphia Eagles. Thank you, Zen Hulk Fitness, saying I love the butterfly effect analogy. I hadn't seen that movie. I still haven't seen the movie in a very long time. I'm telling you, I remember being in high school and we're watching that alternate ending at somebody's house, and that will mess with you if you're a 17-year-old kid. But to your point, Zen Hulk Fitness in the chat says that was a completely different team. We need to see Lance, not Rush. And again, I don't want to speak for Zen Hulk Fitness. I'm only speaking for myself. The petition to see Trey Lance is nothing to do. None of us are coping ourselves into, I tell you what, Trey Lance can take the Cowboys to the playoffs. No, we don't believe that. We just want this to be slightly less painful. That's it. All right, we're just in the hospital bed hitting the morphine button. That's it. We just want a little bit to take the edge off of this because this whole thing sucks. And there are more games remaining than have been played. Think about that for a second. Like, this is the season from hell, and there are only 8 games that have been played, and there are 9 coming down the bend. And what's more, of these next 9, and I'll be here for the 4 of the next 5 doing post-game shows in the BR app. So make sure you follow me down below. Follow me on social media. Make sure you have the BR app, all that cool stuff. But that being said, you're about to hear it from your friends, people. All right, whoever you are, wherever you are, however you are going to hear it from your friends over the next month and change through the week after Thanksgiving. The Cowboys play tomorrow on Sunday. It is the CBS big-time game. Basically, 100% of the country is getting it, so you're going to hear it from your friends when they stink. The week after that, they're on Monday Night Football. The Cowboys are hosting the Houston Texans. I'll be there. If you're going to be there, I'm taking my dad. It's going to be a lot of fun. First game going as a fan in a very long time. I'm excited about it, but that being said, they're probably going to get waxed by the Houston Texans. The week after that, they go to Washington. They're probably going to be basically on national television again, America's Game of the Week, Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady, Aaron Andrews, all that stuff. The week after that, it's Thanksgiving Day. That is the most watched television program, not football game or sporting event, television program in the United States every year outside of the Super Bowl. And the week after that, they're on Monday Night Football again against the Bengals team, who just put up 34 points and almost won on Thursday Night Football. And yeah, you also have the Simpsons alternate broadcast if you care about that sort of thing. So you are going to hear it from people because they're going to have the Cowboys shoved down their throats over the next 5 weeks. And it is going to get annoying, and it is going to get frustrating, and it is going to get worse than it already is, which is a very difficult thing to conceive, but it is the reality of the situation. Bettina Young, I see says probably won't win another game until after Thanksgiving. I agree with you. And look, I'm saying that it's going to get worse, and that sounds ridiculous, right? That sounds crazy. And I know that sounds upsetting and frustrating and alarming and quite frankly annoying to a lot of you because you're sick of hearing about how the Cowboys are bad and how they stink and how whatever. And what I would offer is that you shouldn't be sick of people like me who are calling this out. And I'm not saying I'm a badass and I'm a baller and everything I say is correct. You should be sick of them because I would challenge you. I would dare you. I would double dog dare you to find me anything. Find a singular thing. Find me one. I will take a breadcrumb if you can find a positive thing, an efficient thing, a forward-thinking thing that the Dallas Cowboys have done in which the date that they signed the paperwork on it had 2024 at the very end of it, because there is not a single one. I cover this team for a living. Every single day, I'm consumed with this chaos and this dysfunction, and I'm grateful for it. Don't get me wrong. I have a dream job, and I get to hang out with people like you on the internet, but there is nothing that you can point to across the calendar year of 2024, and like I previously said, over most of the last quarter century, that screams we are doing everything we can to win. In fact, what it screams is, dude, we're just here to hang out, man. Like, there's food in the fridge and we'll get up if we're hungry. But other than that, we're just sitting out hanging out. And I would push back on takes like this. And I don't mean to call somebody out, but I'm using this as a launching point. So I tweeted about this whole situation. Obviously, you can follow me on Twitter at RJ Ochoa. And Bailey _Jones. Again, shout out to Bailey _Jones. This wasn't about them, but said, I'm completely convinced this season was never about winning. I'm convinced it was about spend as less as possible to carry over into next year for a ton of cap money and make it a rebuild year for high draft picks. Okay, I'm going to read this one more time because then I'm going to go off again because I'm kind of taking a breath. I'm completely convinced this season was never about winning. I'm convinced it was about spend as less as possible to carry over into next year for a ton of cap money and make it a rebuild year for high draft picks. Again, this has nothing to do with the person offering the opinion because it's very possible that you yourself feel this way. Maybe your friend, your cousin, your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, your mom, your dad. I don't know. I'm very positive that somebody in your life has said this to you, even if it's a random post you saw on Reddit or an alert here in the BR app. Somebody has told you, or somehow, some way, the idea that the Cowboys are tanking or organically tanking throughout 2024, that has been presented to you. Okay, I'm ready to rebut to this. If you'll allow me, I'm going to approach the bench or whatever the proper legal jargon is. That is so stupid. All right, that is, in fact, it's incredibly stupid. In fact, it's so dumb that it shouldn't be allowed to be a thing that people say out loud, because I would challenge you again. I will double dog dare you once more to find me the instance over the last quarter century. I'll even, specify over the last 10 years, over the last 12 years, really, since the Brandon Carr deal and the Mo Claiborne jump up in the first round, 2012. Find me the instance in which the Dallas Cowboys had a multi-year plan that they executed. Find me the instance in which the Dallas Cowboys had bukus of cap space and spent it. Find me the instance in which the Dallas Cowboys were aggressive in the NFL draft, trading up in the NFL draft, because I can tell you that none of those things existed. I can tell you that at one point in time, the Dallas Cowboys literally had the most fractional cap space percentage absorbent quarterback on their roster in Dak Prescott. It was a real thing. I know some of you are younger. You kids around here keeping us young. All right. It was a real thing that the Dallas Cowboys had Dak Prescott on a 4th round rookie contract, a la, not quite to the same degree, obviously, the San Francisco 49ers, what with what they've had recently with Brock Purdy. It was a front office's dream, a front office's playground to say the franchise quarterback is basically not existent on our cap books. All right, let's be aggressive and let's go attack everywhere else. And you know what they did? Nothing. So you cannot tell me that they're loading up to do something about this, because they have not done it when they have had the opportunities. 3 years ago, when they drafted Micah Parsons, obviously, they had 10 draft picks entering that night, the 2021 NFL draft. I'm sorry, they had 10 after they traded back, because they did move back with Philly, and that was how they took Micah. And we said, because they had 3 third-round picks, we said, surely they're going to move up. There's no way. There's no way they're going to pick 10 times. You know what they did? They picked 10 times. They didn't even move up after that. After picking up a 10th pick, they did not move up. You cannot sit there and you cannot tell me that you actually believe that this is a team that is capable of that, because that's what this idea ultimately comes down to. I understand those of you who are trying to justify or rationalize or make some sort of logic out of this mess that we're seeing, because you're a logical person. You're an adult. You're somebody who's allowed to operate a motor vehicle, who puts pants on in the morning. So it is your kind of instinct to say, this doesn't make sense. How can it make sense in my mind? So I understand you going down this walk and this path of trying to say, this is what they're doing. But you know what? You know what organically tanking involves? It involves some level of a plan. You think about the most intense examples of tanking and things like that, the process and things like that. The process had a plan. The process was the Houston. I'm a Houston Astros fan. I know that upsets a lot of you. Those types of processes, no pun intended, involved, we're going to suck for a little bit, and then we're going to turn that sucking into something legitimate. And they did, and it worked out for my Astros. Sixers are kind of we don't have to go down that road. All right. But that being said, it worked out. When have the Cowboys exemplified that logic? All right. They haven't. And it's relevant relative to this specific thing that we're here discussing. The fact that the quarterback, Dak Prescott, has a partially torn hamstring or howeverly torn hamstring and is basically set to undergo season-ending surgery outside of our guy or our girl, the specialist here, and that they are so insistent on not placing him on injured reserve quite yet, despite the fact that even if the specialist, and I feel ridiculous saying that term over and over and over again, but even if the specialist were to say, you know what, man, I think you can be back in 6 weeks. I think it's possible. You won't like that. That's the optimistic thing, right? That's the whole reason behind the trip to New York. It's not to go see all the lights and everything. I know that the tree's already up in Rockefeller. It's in the process of being built up. It isn't for that. The purpose of the trip is to go find good news that runs counter to the Cowboys team doctors who already informed the team of this particular information. But say the specialist delivers. Say the specialist just knows something that nobody else does. And the specialist says, I think you can make it back in 6 weeks. All right. Well, you know what? You burned up one of those weeks with not placing him on injured reserve to start. I mean, there's no logic, man. And it's exhausting because I'm not a genius. You're not a genius. You're very smart. Don't get me wrong. You're incredible at what you do, whatever it is that you do. I know that you're excellent at it, but we are not geniuses. We are not fit to run an NFL front office. That has never been my claim. I'm certain that you're not claiming that. But we all have enough basic logic to understand that what this front office is doing is so silly and ridiculous and stupid and unbelievable. And every single step of how we've gotten here has been more unbelievable than the last step. It's the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, it's truly, it's them. It's who they are. They're a disease. They're a sickness at this point in time. And we can't turn away. I don't know what's wrong with us, that we just sign up to take this damage on a weekly basis. Zen Hulk Fitness says, if only we made the football moves that he makes for entertainment purposes. I agree. I mean, it's tough, man. Keith Barnes says, I'm 1000% Cowboy fan. I'm ready for all talk. I think you're saying, and the losses. I'll be tuned in every weekend, a year. I don't know. I'm not certain what you're saying, Keith. If you're saying you're ready for them to lose, if you want, everything to be terrible, whatever. But I understand people who feel that way. I understand people who are fed up and who have had enough, because now they're not built to handle things like this. They're not built to handle something like Dak Prescott taking an injury and being out for the rest of the year. They have lost their franchise quarterback multiple times since 2010. Tony Romo in 2010, Tony Romo 2015, Dak Prescott himself in 2020. And granted, in 2020, they were kind of competitive, but that was mostly because the NFC East was trash. The Washington football team at the time won it with a below 500 record in a regular season that was only 16 games, to put that in proper perspective. All right. That's not happening this year. This is, I promise you, going to get much more worse as the season goes along. And as it does, I'll be here in the BR app to talk about it, our post-game show. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you like what I do, you can follow me here right down below. You can see all the teams that I root for, which include Manchester United. So hopefully Sunday goes somewhat well for me as a sports fan. But if you like what I do in general, you can follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at RJ Ochoa, TikTok, rj.ochoa. Email is rj.ochoa@sbnation.com. Make sure to check out bloggingtheboys.com for the latest and greatest in the world of Dallas Cowboys news, discussion, and analysis. I hope you have a wonderful Saturday, a wonderful Sunday. I hope that even though the game is probably going to be a disaster, you enjoy watching our Dallas Cowboys play, and that you derive joy in some way, shape, form, or manner. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and all the best to Dak Prescott, the meeting with the specialist. We hope he's okay. We hope he's healthy. And I'll see you all next time.